trained Sean Mannion from Oregon State. My dad's best friend was basically friends with, I believe, Sean Mannion's dad, and he was fortunate enough to give my dad the number. And I met with Jordan one time, and it was a one-on-one visit, and we were out there for a weekend, and basically it was like a tryout that he had never worked with any youth football player, like anyone in middle school before, and he was new to like the whole quarterback coaching deal. So I remember he told me like, hey, he asked about like my goals, what I wanted to be, or like, and then he obviously gave me like a diagnostic of what my mechanics looked like and everything, and really how bad they were. And from that moment on, I wanted to do everything I possibly could to not just be a better quarterback, but to show that I've gotten that much better that would make Jordan want to work with me more. And by the time that I saw him the second time, he was impressed with how much work I had done at a young age, and from there on out, me and him have had a really close relationship.
And then, you go to him, a couple times a year, usually, this trip around, how did it get started to where not only were you going, but you're going to bring your teammates, and I know you talked to, I'm sure, Brad, and everything. How did that all come about?
Well, the way it worked was I usually go out there a couple of times a year, and we only have a few breaks, so it's definitely during this time of the year. And usually for my entire life, it's been my brothers that have been coming out with me. And I mean, at this point, I know the guys who are there, who I'm going to be throwing to, and sometimes, I mean, it could just be like JUCO guys that are just trying to get some extra work in. And then when it comes like, we'll go out there sometimes when it's like draft training, and then you see like, there's like Michael Pittman, there's like Justin Jefferson, and then it's like, oh shoot, like, these are like, once it comes like that time of year, then it's like, there's a lot of good looking players out there. So I'd heard about like, Josh Allen bringing some of his guys out there to train with him, and then I heard of a couple other guys who did that, and I was like, shoot, why don't I just really bring as many guys as I can, and then I invited my brothers as well, because one of them's a quarterback, so that way I'm not the only one throwing the entire time, and Jordan will always have a couple guys who are going to want to throw the ball with him, of course. So I thought it was an awesome opportunity for all of us to go out there and get better, and because I was still able to do like everything but team in spring ball, but I mean, being a part of a new team, I want to get as close to these guys as possible and make it seem like second nature. So it was a great chance for me to get a better feel for them on the field, and then especially off the field. I think that was just as important, if not more important, than us just getting the physical work in. And I'm just super stoked on the way it came together.
Yeah, I mean, all your receivers but one, I mean, scholarship, and then your tight ends. I mean, how many tight ends with? And of course, Joe Evans.
Yeah, Joe's. Me and him are usually a package deal. About anywhere we go, me and him are together. So he got a little. He was intern head coach for the head of strength and conditioning for the week. Like he would lead like the conditioning before while I was meeting like with Jordan at the office. He was my right hand man the entire time. But I mean, it ended up being like a total of 11 guys. That there was a mix of scholarship, non-scholarship guys, and then the two tight ends that went were Eric and Luke. And it was just an awesome time.
Well, not only you getting a lot of work with Jordan Palmer, but TJ Houshmandzadeh, working with the receivers.
Yeah.
How much did you guys learn about each other on throwing routes and seeing kind of improvements and just the little nuances of the game that really only come through repetition?
Yeah, I mean, we learned a lot, and I think it was good. From like our perspective as a quarterback, we're always looking at like, hey, how can we make this route better? How can we have better connection on this? And I feel like it's always like, because like we're in a way like the telephone between the offensive coaches and the skill players. So then when we went to California, it was a way for those guys to be like, oh, like Cade's doing this because of this, and then like, so it was like almost reverse, that they were able to see like the quarterback specific work that I was working on, and like how like particular things I was doing was making the ball spin better, or like the ball was, my velocity was going up. So I think not just for me but for them, they were able to get a better understanding of what am I doing to get better, and like what I'm trying to work on. And then for them, I'm learning the same thing. Like have TJ out there, that was awesome, and then I'm able to gain a new perspective of like getting in and out of cuts, and how can I create more ground force out of my stance and stuff, like all this bunch of stuff that is new to all of us, but we're all going through it together.
What were your early impressions of Caleb Brown?
I was very impressed. He looks dang good, and we have a long way to go as far as an offense and as far as me and his connection. But I was definitely impressed, and I think he earned a lot of respect over the course of the week as a new guy, and he went about it the right way, and he seems very serious about his game and us winning.
For your development as a leader, was there anybody that you really took a lot from in terms of learning how to be a better leader?
Like growing up?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it came from my dad. My dad was a baseball coach growing up, and I was always in the dugout as a kid, and I always had that that coach's son perspective. So really, a lot of my stuff as being a leader has come from him, and a little bit of just God-given ability that I just have like a feel for some things. But with the combination of my dad, and then I've asked some advice from Jordan, and then it's been a huge my bad. Just been a huge. Really, it's just been all those people in my life that have affected me in a positive way.
What do you see building with this team? You've been here 5+ months now. What do you see?
Like the vision.
Do you see people buying in? I don't know.
Yeah, I do.
Like
I see a lot of buy-in. I see a lot of guys that are really serious about winning. I see this team. I can tell that these guys really want to win, and we don't have a lot of guys who are not willing to do what it takes right now. And I think all the guys feel very good about that. And I think we have a strong group of leaders on the team that would be willing to hold someone accountable and would be willing to call something out if they thought it was negatively affecting the team. And I think because of that, there isn't a lot of that going on. So I think we're really doing well in terms of like workouts and all this stuff. And I think now as we're starting to the actual football stuff is starting to pick up pace, I don't see anything changing as far as the level of intensity and the motivation to have a really good season.
If you could quantify the difference from when you came in to now in terms of that vision of guys holding each other accountable, has it been a pretty big difference? What have you seen in the last 5 months?
It's hard to quantify something that like can't be measured, but I don't know. As soon as I got here, I had a lot of great first impressions. I thought, these were a lot of like-minded dudes that I can see myself fitting in well with. And I think as my relationship has grown with these guys, then also, I'm getting more comfortable being, a voice and a part of the leadership group and all this stuff. I think, we're able to. I think a lot of the guys see the vision. They see, what we want out of this season and what it's going to take, and that vision and that work ethic is just continuing to grow. And if anything, our feelings are just getting even stronger about making sure it happens.
There's a lot. It's a cliche, of course, about chip on the shoulder. But with this team, there's probably no other team that I've ever seen that has more than this one, based on the holdovers who were here and what they dealt with. And then there's a lot of buy-in from somebody like yourself. Players everywhere, something from grad transfer wanting to move up. How does that fuel? Is it something that's maybe hard to put a finger on, but it's something that's there, it's kind of driving everybody in some ways, not just proving everybody wrong, but more or less being very, very focused and wanting to push?
Absolutely. And I think what's cool about it is that it's something different for everyone. Like, I have a lot to prove as a transfer quarterback, and I have a lot of things that I want to achieve, and my motivation to win. And the guys on this team have gone through their share of things. They've gone through their share of adversity. They've, whether it was last season for them or it was really anything. And I think what's cool about it is that a lot of us, like, yeah, the chip on the shoulder mentality is very, present because, like, honestly, a lot of us have been dealt with a lot of adversity lately. So, I mean, I think that's the best way to put it, is that a lot of us have gone through some stuff, and I think we're just tired of it being that way.
Who do you